Good morning, everybody. Before we start this meeting, please note that this meeting is being live streamed and recorded. Thank you. We'll go on to agenda item number 1. Apologies. We don't need any introductions today. No. Any apologies, please?
Received an apology from Liz Fury.
Thank you. Declaration of conflicts of interest. Members are reminded that they should declare any interests which may lead to conflicts of interest in the subject area of any specific agenda item of this meeting. Are there any declared conflicts of interest? Haven't seen all the agenda? No, thank you. Minutes of the previous meeting. First of all, can I confirm that you've all received those minutes? Yeah, information received, thank you. And we also confirm that they are a true record of that meeting. Yeah, happy. Thank you. Are there any matters arising from those minutes which are not covered by the agenda today? No, okay, thank you. We now go on to item 4, public questions. Justin, are there any public questions, please?
No, there's been no public questions received, Chair.
Thanks, Justin. Item 5. Vicky, over to you.
Thank you. So this report provides an update for the work that the administration team have been working on since the last meeting. So we've run through some of the projects that we're working on, which is the McLeod project. We're looking at kicking off the dashboard work that we need to do, and we're currently in the throes of creating the annual benefit statements for members. We're working through the pension regulator checklist now, also for the new code, and that is just helping us to identify any gaps that we might have following the release of that new code. Just to confirm that we have had our report back from internal audit with regards to our assurance level, and that remains at good, which is the highest rating. We are looking at team structure, and a business case has been submitted to Justin now for his review, just to see if we can get some additional resources in to help with the workload that we've got. There is some areas of backlog, and this is predominantly where we've got our pensions assistants work across the operations team. They're working with very high task list at the minute, so we're looking to get some additional resource in that area. We've also been reviewing work across the team just to make sure that we are utilising the system as much as possible, using any automation process that we can, particularly with bulk work where it's kind of takes a long time for an individual to do, but actually there are systems in place within our administration system that will help with that, automating a lot of that work. We've changed the way that we show you the workloads and the information that we provide to you. So Appendix A is a different chart to what you would have normally have seen. This is in line with the annual report guidance now. So what we'll be reporting in the annual guidance is what we're now also showing you in our report, so that the 17 key performance indicators and how we're achieving those, and also showing you the amount of cases that we are meeting the deadline to send information out to members, and the cases where we're not, so you can see our percentage for meeting that target. And that supports our need for additional resource. There are areas where we're not meeting those targets, and so the request for additional resource will help us to improve those scores on those KPIs going forward. We've obviously had a lot of change in the last 18 months with the staff, and things are starting to embed with new team members now. So we find that when we do get new members of staff coming in, you're almost taking a step back backwards before you can take a step forwards, because you lose time in training new individuals, and so the existing staff aren't able to kind of manage the workload as they would normally, because they're taken away to do training with new staff. So we are seeing that kind of even off a little bit, but even with that, we are still needing more people within the team to help with the workload. I think that's probably the areas that I wanted to highlight. The McLeod project is still progressing. It's become mostly business as usual now. So the ongoing processes for people that are leaving, we've got the checks in place to ensure that the underpin is applied where it's needed. But we have got a bit of work to do on the rectification cases. So at 10.3, we've got the numbers of cases that we will need to have a check against to see if there's any improvement on benefits for these individuals. So we've got 69 pensioner records, 168 deferred cases and 1 death record, where we will need to review the pension that's in payment or had been in payment for that death case, and see if there's any improvement for us to apply with the underpin information now being recorded on those records. We do also have 74 records with an underpin that have erred that we will need to check, and that is on death cases again. They will need a manual check because there is an automated process that will help us check that. So that's work on top of business as usual at the minute, to make sure that we do that rectification work on people that left in the remedy period. So they've left us between 2014 2022 and have benefits brought into payment or calculated. So we're still doing that work. The other thing that's picking up now also is dashboard work. So we're just in the last phases of signing the contract to get the integrated service provider, and that is where this will connect our system, so our administration system, to the dashboard, and information will be able to flow from our admin system to the dashboard so that people can see that. It won't mean that the dashboard will link into the administration system. It doesn't give complete access. It just means it will pick up certain bits of data, and the member will be able to see that on the dashboard. So we're just getting that sorted. And then the next bits of work that we'll need to do for dashboard is looking at our data and finding the areas of data that we need to improve, mostly around address tracing and things like that. That's our main area of work that we need to do for improvement, and that will help people to match records. If we've got information held on there that isn't quite up to date, then it will mean that person could put some data into the dashboard. It wouldn't exactly match to what we'd got. It would become a partial match, and then we would have to investigate if that member's got benefits in our scheme. So that creates extra work for us. If it matches, they can straight away link into the information and get the information that they need about their pension from us. So it's really important that we try and do as much work on data before dashboard goes live to limit that amount of partial match work that we might get, which will impact on the team. You know, it will create more work for the team. Annual benefit statements. This, you know, through the summer we do a lot of work on annual benefit statements. We get all of the year-end data submitted to records up to the 31st of March. We then start creating annual benefit statements. So the deferred annual benefit statements have been released this week to members. And then we will look to do the active member statements towards mid-August. Now we have to make sure we do that by the deadline of the 31st of August for all members for active and deferred, so that we meet the TPR deadline. So that's on track for information going across to members so that they can see their statements. And I think that's it for me, that I just wanted to raise with you for the administration report. Happy to take any questions.
Okay, thank you for that, Vicky. Do we have any questions for Vicky from members, please?
Yes.
John.
Hi, Vicky. I'm fascinated by the fact that
Going to give you a page number.
sorry? Oh, yeah, I'm looking at 7.3.
7.3.
Well, initially 7.3. How do we manage to create different records for the same person when they move from one job to another within the authority? I can understand if they leave the authority and come back, that's problematic. But I don't quite get why we have people promoted a separate record created.
So we have lots of different variations of when people get a new record created within the pensions scheme. So within our payroll systems, if there is a post number change, they then get a new record created, and we have to look to combine that. So we have to recognise that it's the same job, the same person, but they've just had a post number change, because the way that the iConnect system works, the data transfer, it will read certain bits of information and create that as a new starter. So we have to do some work on recognising that that's the same person with the same job. We also have lots of people that work with the same employer but do transfer into different jobs quite a lot of the time. So particularly at schools, we get lots of people that might be on one teaching assistant contract, that ends, they then become a teaching assistant doing another job. And each time there is a change, that means it's a new record in the pension system that's created. And that's when we have to look to say, well, actually, this should just be put together for pension purposes, because we don't want lots of multiple pots for that individual based on very short term.
Is that done electronically though? It's automatic?
It's not
manual.
It's not always automatic. Depending on how the payroll system will indicate it through our submission. Sometimes it is just combined. Sometimes we have to do a check on it. But there's a lot of work going on with the developer, with Hayward, to try and limit the creation of new starters where it's what we call a next day transfer. And so there's lots of work. Lots of funds have the same issue where payroll providers kind of do these kind of the work on people moving around, whereas actually they're doing the same. The individual won't see any change. They're just working as a teaching assistant in the school, but within the payroll system, they've been listed as teaching assistant 1, teaching assistant 2, teaching assistant 3, and that creates new records. So there's lots of work going on with our developer to try and limit the amount of extra work it creates, where we have these next day transfers where they aren't necessarily new starters in a different post.
And I suppose that whoever's doing their payroll, it depends on their system.
Yes.
You know, picking it up, and they might have 2, 3 records.
Yes, yeah. And it's the biggest issue for the biggest employers. So Talbot and Meakin Council, Shropshire Council, they're the ones that will have the majority of new starters that maybe aren't truly new starters, and that we have to do a lot of work to kind of put them together, whereas they come across as a leaver and a starter. We have to put those together. So a lot of the work is done by the team in sorting that out.
Especially when you go to the dashboard.
Yes, yeah, that's the thing. We've got to. The thing with the dashboard that concerns me the most is that it's not going to be real-time information as such. When it gets information about pensions from public sector, it's going to be based on your annual benefit statement information from the 31st of March. So if you're logging on 11 months after that date and you've had some changes, it's not necessarily going to be picking up. It's not real time. It's going to be looking at information based on the 31st of March. Yes, yeah. So that's got to be clear on the information that's shown that, you know, this is based on information from the 31st of March. You know, and that people understand, actually, if you've had a change since that date, it won't necessarily have taken that all into account.
That's right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Appendix A.
Appendix A, yeah.
Which is very helpful. But what's the difference between a customer target and a KPI?
Key performance indicator.
So
the answers seem to be the same for each.
Yeah, very much so. So obviously with the customer target, we can, within our system, we can set targets. Yeah. So there is a legal obligation target for dates, and that will give you a set time scale for sending out information. And then within us as our fund, in our administration strategy, we might set a different target, which is what we would say is our customer target. So some of the timescales for KPIs, where it might be set as a legal obligation as 20 days, we might say, well, actually, we want to achieve that in 15 days or 10 days. At the minute, they're set as the same. But as our service improves, we might want to look to change the customer target so that, you know, we can actually improve on those timescales for people receiving information.
I mean, I would have found it useful to be reminded what the targets are.
Okay.
And if that could be, well, I hate spreadsheets that get so small. When you print
Yes.
them.
Not yes,
I mean, that's a bit of a problem, I know, but it
yes.
would be useful to let us know.
Yeah, no, that's fine. We can share that information definitely in the next report. We can include as a reminder what the timescales are. We're bringing these in line with what goes into the annual report as well. So in the annual report, it also confirms the timescales in that document. So yeah, we can incorporate that into this.
And are all those key performance indicators achievable? Are they realistic targets?
Well, if we were to just set ourselves and making sure we're achieving the legal timescales, the majority of cases, yes, should be. The things where we do struggle is the ones that show currently. So the letter to deferred benefits.
Yeah.
That is a high volume area of work. So with retirements, they're always treated as priority. So retirements will always be done first on top of everything else. So that's where other things start to slip. So with the deferred benefits, that is one of the areas where we do need more people to start working on those to bring that KPI up.
You've got a couple of here to be completed 100%.
Yes.
Reading that.
So yeah, there's a few of these that are, you know, most of the things that we treat as priority are achievable, and we're doing that. But then we just need to keep an eye on the things that we're not achieving. So transfers, they wouldn't be classed as a priority, and the deferred aren't classed as a priority. So that these are the things that we do need to kind of just look at.
Right, thank you. John, any more questions?
No, thank you very much.
Thank you. No questions from Becky or no?
Yeah, can I just ask a couple if that's okay? I noticed on the new stats spreadsheet, which I really like, I think it's really clear. And I think you were just alluding to it then, that we're not quite meeting some of our statutory deadlines on the transfers. I'm guessing that most of the transfers in and out are to other local authorities.
Yes, that's right. The majority do go all within public sector. So look, we see lots of people transfer to other funds, but we also see lots of transfers to NHS teachers and things like that as well. There's a very small number of transfers that go to private schemes now. So the majority of transfers that we do will be going to other occupational schemes, and the large majority of that will be to other funds.
And could the members that have experienced a delay on the statutory timescales, could they have had any financial loss? I can't for the life of me remember how the inter-scheme transfers work.
So for transfers to other funds, they are like for like, so they don't lose any money on transfer. The thing that we need to just be wary of is obviously if anyone's close to retirement, that we don't delay a retirement process. So if someone moves to another fund and they're reliant on us sending information across, that we don't delay that if it's then going to delay a pension. That's the kind of thing that we would look at. The other thing that we've had with transfers quite recently is because of McLeod, we've had delay in getting GAD guidance or new factors coming in. So it's affected funds nationally, not just individually. So we've all struggled with delays in processing information. So there isn't, if we're doing a transfer to another fund, there shouldn't be a financial loss because it should transfer like for like. So that shouldn't impact. And transfer values are guaranteed for 3 months. So as long as the transfer happens within that 3 months, it's guaranteed. If it's then extended, that's where that transfer value will change. And that will then obviously depend on that person's age and factors that we have to apply to it, whether that then goes up or down. So.
Okay, great. And it looks as if on your stats, just vast quantities of post and emails and telephone calls to the team, and the, you know, the stats have remained really high. And I was just wondering, I think you've got some stats on the number of people accessing the website.
Yes.
And I was just wondering if you're able to drill down into that. How many are people using the bot and the bot answering questions versus people just generally using the website?
So we have got information on the number of people that are accessing the website, which is separate to the bot. I haven't got the numbers on the actual cases of people using the bot, but just obviously the success rate of people having their questions answered, because only 67% are getting their questions answered. So that means the rest are then coming to the team to talk to an individual to get their question answered. So we can look to provide more information on that. We are trying to do more analysis on what people are logging on to the website to look for, because we will know what pages they've accessed. And we're particularly interested in making sure that if people are finding it hard to find information on the website, that we make that more prominent. So we are doing some analysis on the website to make sure that it's useful. And we're also looking at the types of queries that are coming through on the bot and making sure that we develop the questions that it can answer on there as well. So that's kind of a work in progress with the bot. The percentage rate of questions being answered is increasing, but we've still obviously got room to improve that even further. So we can look to provide more information on what people are trying to access via the website and using the bot for.
Perfect, thank you. And just final one, I'm conscious of how big a project the dashboard is for the team, and I'm just wondering whether you have already or whether we could get just a high level key milestones project plan, just so that we're clear on what needs to be achieved by what point.
Yes, we have got a project plan that we're working to. It's quite a comprehensive plan because it incorporates all the different elements of the work that we need to do. So yeah, that can be shared with the board.
Amazing, thank you.
Just going back to your web stats there, 67%, that's quite high, isn't it?
It is. It's actually quite a successful tool.
In Telford, they was talking, 46%. And they thought that was good. And the rest going to the
yes.
staff.
And it is a case of just looking to see what questions are coming through on there and which ones are successfully being answered by the bot and which aren't, so that we can keep adding in the responses. Yeah. There's good work being done by Simon James, who works on the help desk, and Joe Jackson, who's our communications officer, to keep reviewing that tool, so that, because ultimately we do still get a lot of phone calls from members, and we also get a lot of email requests or queries coming through. It's quite, we don't want to stop that, but it's quite time consuming. So we need to try and find tools that are gonna help with that. And the bot seems to have helped with quite a lot of that work.
Yeah. But when you consider how many members you've got, you would expect quite a number of phone calls or emails.
Yes.
Just on the pure number side of it.
Yes, yeah.
You're talking thousands. Tens of thousands. We have got
thousands of members, but we've got 50% of them now on member self-service. So that again has helped with the volume of queries coming in. Getting people to be able to look at their own information and kind of do their own quotations and things like that has really helped, or even just do their own address change and stuff like that has really, really helped the team.
But that 50% hasn't really gone up in the last year, has it? It was 50% last time we spoke about it. No,
we've not done any work to kind of promote it any further, and that is because we're moving to engage a new platform. We're just on the implementation stage. We'll be starting that kind of mid-September, so that will have a slightly different look and feel to member self-service, and it's got some extra tools in there for members. So we're gonna be doing a promotion campaign once that is launched, to get those individuals that aren't using it, to try and get them to register. So the idea is to kind of do some road shows where we go out to certain employers where we don't have a high take up and show them the facility and get people to kind of log on and register there and then.
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah, thank you for that. Sorry, go. Let's just see. Rebecca, have you got any more questions, please? Thank you. John.
No, I'm good, thank
A
you.
last one, just looking at the bottom line here of users visiting
What
website.
page are you on, John?
Sorry?
What page?
Oh, I'm looking at page 8.
Yep.
Yeah.
Everything seems to be going up. Are these seasonal variations, or is this a trend that's going to be continued? Because if it is, we'll be extremely busy.
Yes, and this is the thing, there definitely is more interest in pensions, definitely more kind of engagement, and from what we see and hear from the pensions industry is that's what's needed. We need people to be more engaged with their pensions so that they understand when they retire what they're paying into is going to give them enough to live on. And there's been a lot of work on the retirement living standards. So giving people kind of a benchmark to go, well, yeah, I want a comfortable retirement, or I want a moderate retirement, so that people can see what their actual pension pots are giving them. Because people now, they have multiple pension pots. They don't just have one pension. And it's just about them understanding how they put all of that together to give them a decent kind of income on retirement.
So, I mean, there must be a degree of complexity then to the telephone calls that you receive in terms of the amount of work you have to do, and similarly with the emails.
Yes, so the types of questions that we get are evolving because people are asking about, you know, that they are becoming more educated on their pension and understanding what it means for them, and, you know, can they do more, can they pay in more, and how does it link in with their other pension schemes. So we have to be very careful that we don't give advice, that we are only here to give guidance. We're not allowed to advise on what best options are for people. We can give them all the information about the pension scheme, but obviously that's got to be understandable, and we've got to explain it to members, but we can't advise. So yeah, the information, they helped us do a fantastic job in helping people understand their pension, and what we need to try and do is develop tools that can help with those questions that are coming through from members as much as possible.
Thank you.
Can I ask, keeping on page 8, as John brought it up, the KPI for the number of calls answered, industry standard, and the original is about 90%. You're above that, but it is dropping slightly. Is that because pure number, judging by the top line?
Yes, and depending what's going on at the time as well, because obviously Shropshire Council had a VR programme that came out in March, April time, and so we saw an increase due to that, because people were starting to ask about pension benefits linked to their options on redundancy. So it all depends on what's going on. There's peaks and troughs. We can see, obviously, February emails received was like 935. March it dropped off a little bit, and then emails got shot up again. And we can see the increase in calls. You know, there has been a consistent increase in calls, but it does depend on what's going on at the time. So now we expect, because we're sending out benefit statements, we'll see it go up again because people start asking questions about their statements.
And I suppose if any employer has voluntary redundancy happening,
Yes,
that's going to impact on your business anyway.
Yeah.
Side of life.
exactly. Yeah, that's when people start
Everybody
thinking.
wants to know what's happening, how much they're going to get.
Yeah, so I mean, our employers are pretty good. They do give us a heads up if anything's going on, so that we can kind of anticipate additional calls and make sure that we've got enough staff to deal with things. But yeah, through the year, depending on what's happening and what's going on with our employers, then it can lead to a spike in the queries that the team receive.
Okay, thank you for that. No more questions. I think we're asked to note this. Thank you, Vicky, for that. To note it. Noted. Thank you. Go on to item number 6 on the agenda, the Pensions Committee reports and feedback. And I know John, myself, I think Rebecca, you joined the committee. Are there any questions on any of the committee papers? Rebecca, no? No? Go to item 7, the date of the next meeting. And the next meeting of the pension board will be held at 10 o'clock on the 8th of November 2024. I'm now required to read out on item 8 the exclusion of the press and public. To resolve that in accordance with the provision of Schedule 12A of the Local Government Act 1972, Section 5 of the Local Authorities Executive Arrangements, Meetings and Access to Information England, Regulations and Paragraph 3 of the Council's Access to Information Rules, the public and press be excluded during consideration of the following items. I'll propose that, if I may. Can I have a seconder?
Yep.
John, second. Can I have all agreed? Agreed, thank you.